Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to this week's Children's Corner. I hope you've been enjoying your Easter holidays and are looking forward to going back to school tomorrow. What's the first thing that happens every day in school? Well, in most schools, I think probably the first thing which will happen is the teacher will call the roll. And they'll get a big book out and read through the list of names. And when your name's called out, you put your hand up and say, "Present," or "Here, miss." And they'll tick you off as being in school. What happens if you're not there? They put a little X beside your name. Now, does that really matter? Well, it might matter for one reason. If you miss out on something important, the teacher will need to be able to tell you what you've missed. So if you're not there and there's something really special that you need to know about, you might need to be reminded that the next day is non-uniform day. So the teacher might send a message home saying, "Don't let Johnny forget that tomorrow is non-uniform day." Or there might be some important work that you've missed out on and that the teacher wants to send home to you. So that's one of the reasons why teachers keep a roll in class. It's important to know who's in school and who's missing. And maybe you're sick, and it lets the teacher know to check up to see if you're okay if you don't turn up for a few days. Something a little bit similar happened in today's Bible story. It's a story from John's Gospel, chapter 20, and you can read it beginning at verse 19. It's the Sunday, the day after the Passover. So Jesus was crucified on Friday and buried. He stayed in the tomb on Saturday because that was the Jewish Sabbath. And on the Sunday, they discovered the tomb was empty. And the disciples were afraid because they didn't know what was going on. Where had Jesus gone to? What was happening? So they were away in the upper room, locked away for fear of the Jews, in case Jesus' enemies would try and attack them or do something bad to them. And upstairs in that upper room, locked, suddenly Jesus appeared to them and stood in the middle of them and spoke to them. And they were very, very happy. But one of the disciples, who was called Thomas, he wasn't there. He wasn't with the other disciples. He'd gone off on his own. And the next time the disciples met Thomas, they said, "Wait till you hear what you've missed out on." On Sunday night, in that upper room, Jesus was there. He came and stood in the middle of us and spoke to us. And you've missed it all. We've seen Jesus. And Thomas said, "I don't believe it. Unless I can put my finger into his hands to the nail marks and my finger into his side where the spear pierced him, I won't believe that it really was Jesus. He's dead. He's gone. How can you even say that?" Well, a week later, the disciples were in that upper room again, and do you know what happened? The very same thing. Jesus appeared to them. Even though the doors were locked, Jesus came in and stood in the middle of them. And he said to Thomas, "See my hands? Put your finger where the nails were. Put your hand into my side. Don't doubt. Just believe." But Thomas didn't even need to touch Jesus. He didn't need to do any of those things. He just fell down and said, "My Lord and my God." One of the great promises Jesus has given us is that when 2 or 3 gather together in his name, he will be there in the midst of them. Just like he was with those disciples in that upper room on those Sunday nights. Each week, when we come together to worship, he is here with us in our midst. And if we miss church, we miss the chance to be with Jesus. Just like Thomas, we can miss out on all the good things Jesus wants to give us and share with us and teach us and show us.